there. It was chaos. Dogs the size of horses were running around, tearing people. It was chaos. The way she described the scene to me was horrific. Her mother told her, "They can ask you how old you are. Lie about your age." And her mother never, ever told her to lie. And in fact, lying was you can ask you how old you are. 17. Please up as tall as you could. And I don't want you to take a baby into your hands. Do not take a baby into your hands. She knew her mother had the information that they're not going to separate the mothers from children. Whoever had a baby, everything went left meant to the guest chambers. She thought that this is her oldest child, and she had a fighting chance to save this child. And thank God she did. My mother says she's 17, and she did not take a kid into her hand, and they sent it to the right side. It was a selection. They selected right to left. I just heard from a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, interesting that his mother also was 14 years old. Except his mother was not a mature 14 years old. She looked like a very, very young girl at 14. She had an older sister, 17 years old. It's thrown this as an anecdote. It's Kedai to know the story. Her older sister was 17. She looked like a 17-year-old girl. She looked like a little child next to her. She came to the selection, she was sent left. And she already knew. Somehow she found out what that meant. So her older sister, who she's very close to, her parents are no longer there, went to the right side, and this little 14-year-old girl found herself alone on the left side. And she knew that she's going to die. And she stopped. She started crying. She started speaking to Hashem. And she said these words. His mother told me the story over many, many times. These are the words. Hashem, I very, very, very much want to live. I very, very, very much want to live. And I promise you, if you're going to make me live, if you're going to give me a chance, I'm going to raise religious generations. I'm going to raise religious generations. She barely uttered these words out of her mouth, where somebody on the side of the right recognized her and called her over. It was like breaking every rule. Called her over, and they opened. It was sealed shut. So they opened up for her. She came in. It's an amazing thing. And she stood again on the line, and again she stood in front of this Nazi who made the selection. And amazing that this person, he must have seen thousands of people. When he saw her the second time, he said, "You were here already once." He recognized her. So she said that, "Yeah, but I have an older sister, and I want to be with my sister. My sister watches over me. I want to be with my sister." So he says, "What's your sister's name?" So she said. So he called one of his workers there. And he said, "Go get her." And he announced to call the sister. And the sister showed up. She was like she thought she thought she was terrified. And she came up, and this Nazi looked at her, and she says, "You're a sister?" She says, "Yes, and I take care of my younger sister." And he looked at the older sister, and looked at the younger sister, back and forth a couple of times, and he gave her like a smack behind the head, and told her to go. He sent her to the right side. Amazing. So this girl literally, mamish, in the end, mamish, bottom of the ninth, the last possible minute, she went to the right side, and she got saved. Why am I telling you these stories? Because we are in the exact same position today. We have to be aware of this. Except there is nobody there, there's no German asking us how old we are and sending us right or left. We are the ones making the decision, but we're going right or left. And this question is being asked of us every single day, numerous times throughout the day. Is your decision going to be right, or is your decision going to be left? You have to understand like this. Take a look around us, not here in this room, look around at our neighbors, meaning the people where we live in. Take a look what goes on in their schools. Take a look what goes on in their lives. Take a look what's considered today in the non-Jewish world normal. Ask yourself, what's considered today normal? Ask what happened today in society, in our society. What's considered normal, what's not considered normal? You should understand that you can be, and by the way, they're not bad intentions. They're all well intentioned. Most of the people are well intentioned. They mean well. They mean well. When they decided that plastic bags are not good, they meant well. And when they decided that drugs is good, they also meant well. They mean well. It's a paradox that if you get arrested, you can get whacked with a plastic bag, and the drugs is fine. That's interesting. It's interesting how things work out. But the entire society today is so topsy-turvy, it's upside down. It's amazing. How does it happen to a person? It happens to a person because he doesn't have a guide, which we have. It's called Torah. It happens to a person because he's unguided. You can be as well-intentioned as you want, If you're not going to be anchored to the Torah, you don't have a fighting chance. I'm going to give you a simple quotation. Listen to this. Imagine a guy walks into a courtroom, there's a courtroom going on, and there's two people, even Hashem there, the Torah, whatever the case is, this is the judge, this is the thing, and he sees that the opposition, the other guy walks over to the judge, and he gives him a couple $100. What, is he going to want to sit in this court? Yes, of course not. The guy was bribed. He bribed him right in front of him, right? And let's say suppose that he didn't bribe him a couple $100, he bribed him with a 50. That's better. You know what our Torah says about this topic? Even if the judge is none other than Moshe Rabbeinu, who was a millionaire, he became very wealthy, and even you gave him $1, and when you gave him the $1, you told him, don't rule in my favor. Oh, I'm giving it to you because, whatever. I want you to rule whatever you think is right. He's disqualified. He no longer could rule. He's disqualified. He can't see properly anymore. He will not be able to make a proper decision. I ask you a simple question. If that's the case, how could we make decisions in our lives? You want to tell me that Moshe Rabbeinu for $1 has more of a penia, more of a negia, more of a reason to go ahead and to bend things than we do? How many things do we take into account that we should not be taking into account? You make a decision which neighborhood to move into, which building to move into, which school to send your kids to, etc., etc. Whom to date, whatever your question is, right? How many things do you have going through your mind that don't belong there? It shouldn't be. That should really not. That's not a real good reason. It's not a good reason. That's not a reason. But why is that there? It's because you have your things. Like I said before, you have a neshama, you have a body. Who's talking to you right now? Is it your neshama? Is it your body? You think you really, really could. I wanted to give you an example of a great rabbi. He was a tremendous tzaddik, a tremendous personality. Somebody came to ask him advice about taking a particular job. He didn't ask him advice. He asked him to write him a reference letter. Hamlatza, to write him a reference letter. One of the greatest rabbis pre-war Poland. He asked him to write a letter. And this tzaddik did not feel that this thing was right for him. He told him right away. Didn't think it was right for him. But he told him, the guy said to him, could be, maybe, yes. He said, you know what, come back to me in a couple of days and I'll give you my final answer. The person left. And as soon as the person left, the tzaddik sat down. By the way, this is a person that every second in his life was measured. Every second in his life was measured. The tzaddik sat down, took out a pen and paper, and wrote him the letter. He wrote him the letter, finished writing the letter, put it into his drawer, and it stayed there. The person comes back 2-3 days later, and the tzaddik tells him, it's not for you. Not a good decision. Not for you. You shouldn't take it. Shouldn't take it. When he left, one of his close people who saw the whole thing asked him, great rabbi, I know every second of you is measured. You wrote him the letter. Why did you write the letter? You changed your mind? What happened? What did you do? You know what he answered? He said, in order for me to be able to make a real choice here, I had to write the letter. Why? Because if I wouldn't have written the letter, then could be the reason why I'm saying no. So I'm lazy. I don't want to write the letter. It's going to take up my time. I'm not interested in writing the letter. So I told him no. It's not going to be my conscious mind. It'll be my subconscious mind. It may be my subconscious mind. That's how far they went to suspect their own way of thinking. Why? Because the person has in him this apparatus called body that is pulling in his direction. The only way you could make real decisions in life is to be anchored to the Torah. Torah's emes. If you're with the Torah's emes. Now, I want to tell you this. I told you I started with my words by saying that for pointing at a building, what kind of schar Hashem pays. Could you imagine what Hashem pays for a person walking down the street and watching his eyes? That's not easy. That's not easy. Nobody in the world knows where your eyes are and where your mind is. It's a pure mitzvah. There's nothing else there. If a person is davening well, people see you. If a person is learning, people see you. Could be there's a certain component of having a good name out there. What's going on in your mind, nobody knows. Hashem knows. What's going on with your eyes, nobody knows. Hashem knows. Can you imagine what kind of schar you get for doing such a kind of a mitzvah? How great that schar is? So I'm encouraging you all. I know that it's a struggle. I know that it's a battle. But be aware that if you make the Kabbalah, you'll be able to do it. I want to tell you a fascinating thing. You know, when Klal Yisrael went to battle against our mortal enemy, Amalek, what ended up happening there in that battle? They tried to win. They tried to defeat. It was a very, very big battle. Moshe Rabbeinu was standing with his hands upraised, held high, and it says that his arms, became heavy. It doesn't mean heavy. Moshe was a gibor. It doesn't mean he became heavy. It means it was a big battle, a spiritual battle. It was a big, big battle. So Aaron. Yeshua was out battling. Aaron came and he stood with his right hand, and he held up his arm on his right side, and Hur came on the left side, and he tried to, and Moshe Rabbeinu stood like that till the end of the day, and at the end, they defeated them, but they were not able to finish the job. So after this whole episode, Hashem comes to Moshe Rabbeinu, he says like this, you should write this into the Sefer, you should know, I'm going to wipe out Amalek. What does it mean I'm going to wipe out Amalek? I'm going to do it for you. In Parshas Kisei, there's a mitzvah say in the Torah that Hashem tells us to wipe out Amalek. It's a mitzvah say in the Torah that we have a mitzvah to wipe out Amalek. That Hashem is going to do for us. Hashem says, I'm going to put on film for you. It's our mitzvahs. What are the Tariq mitzvahs? Mechias Amalek. What are the Tariq mitzvahs? I'm going to say, what does that mean? What does that mean? My dear friends, the Chavos Chaim says like this: in order for a person to do anything in this world, three things have to happen. Anything a person to do. A, he has to plan to do it. B, he has to implement the plan. He has to start doing. C, it has to work. Chazal says part A and part B is up to a person. The person has that power. He could make a decision. It's part of his bechira, part of his choice. He could think. He could plan. He could implement. But to make it happen, that's up to Hashem. The last part is up to Hashem. That's what you have to daven. You have to ask Hashem to help us make it happen. That's up to Hashem. Mechias Amalek was a very, very big battle. And they tried their hearts out and they couldn't do it. They couldn't finish the job. So Hashem said like this: you tried? More than try, I don't ask of you. I want you to try. What ended up happening is, Moshe had his hands upraised, Aaron came to the right side, Hur came to the left side. So Hashem says, Emche. Take a look at the word Emche. What is the word Emche? You have an Aleph, a Mem, and a Ches. And then a Hey. The Mem is Moshe Rabbeinu in the middle. The Aleph is Aaron on his right side, trying his hardest to help him out. The Ches is Hur on the left side, helping him out. They're doing whatever they can to win this war. They couldn't. And Hashem says, Hey, that's me. I'm going to finish the job for you. What you have to do, my dear friends, is start. You make a Kabbalah, and Hashem is going to finish the job for you. You have to start, as difficult as it may appear, and sometimes people think, you know what Cain thought? Yeah, of course, Cain was a great personality, there's no question about it. But there was, at a certain point, up to here I could go. Higher than that I can't. What's the carbon? Complete Mesiras Nefesh. Give it completely up. That I can't do. Just you could do it. All you have to do is try. All you have to do is start. You start, and Hashem is going to help you. Now I want to tell you something. This is the part that has to do with working and struggling. The truth of the matter is that once a person goes into Avodas Hashem, his life becomes so sweet. There's nothing sweeter in the world than being a Shomer Torah mitzvahs. There's nothing sweeter. Who's talking about when a person is zeicha to raise a family of children, and children's children who are observant, to see the beauty in that. Anybody that has that, and anybody that's seen that, knows what I'm telling is true. I've had people call me that they had children in yeshiva, and there was struggles because they came from a non-religious background, and then they had certain kids that did, and then the parents called me, could be you could speak to my other son, let him also become, I see how beautiful family this son is raising. They see it, they go crazy over it. The truth of the matter is, there's nothing sweeter than Hashem's word, nothing sweeter in the world. All we have to do is just get into it. We get into it, but we have to get into it completely. We can't do it half-heartedly. We do it, you do it, and now again, I don't want to make you feel here it's all or nothing. It's not all or nothing. Whatever you could start. You say to Hashem, look, I'm going to start here. I heard something tonight. I'm going to make a Kabbalah now. I'm going to start. Now I want to finish my words. One thing I have to tell you: when it comes to making a Kabbalah, one thing you have to know. Remember when Moshe Rabbeinu came to Klal Yisrael? They had a simon. How do you know who's Mashiach? Who's going to be the Goyal Tzedek? He'll say something. He'll use a certain word. What? Pakay Divkod, yeah? What did Hashem tell Moshe Rabbeinu? When he sent him, he told Moshe Rabbeinu, Eya Asher Eya. That's what he said. I will be what I will be. What does that mean? What does that mean? So, I'm not going, this is very, very deep. I'm going to say on a very, very basic level. You know what Eya means? Eya means I will be. It says in some relation to the word Aleph K, Yud K is the Shem Shel Tshuva. It's the name of Tshuva. What has to do with Tshuva? What is Tshuva? Because when a person does Tshuva, what he's saying, I will be. I will be. What? I will be good. I will be. So one of the great tzaddikim back pre-war Poland, I'm hungry actually. He said, the world thinks that tshuva is who knows what. You know what tshuva is? Tell Hashem to follow him. Well, was, I'm starting now. That's what tshuva means. What was, I'm starting right now. That's what tshuva means. That's what Eya means. I will start. Now, when a person makes a Kabbalah, and I'm sure many of you are going to identify what I'm going to say right now. I've made many Kabbalahs. What happens a month after the Kabbalah? In the beginning, we're excited, and then when the battle gets difficult, what happens down the road? Sometimes, so once the person falls, you see, look, I tried, look, it happened again. Truth of the matter is that you have to know this when you make the Kabbalah. A Kabbalah has to be very strong. It has to be rock solid. But you also have to know that there may be a battle, and you may trip up. And it's not the end of the world if you do. Pick yourself up again and go further. We told him, Eya, Asher, Eya. After the first Eya, there'll be a second Eya. You say again, you fell again, pick yourself up and go further. Don't let that deter you, because that's where the scar comes from. The scar comes from the battle. It comes from the battle. So if a person does it, he just does his best, you'll see you will succeed Be'ezer Hashem Yisbarach. And with this, I'm going to give you all the bracha. You should have tremendous success in your Avodas Hashem. You should have tremendous success in all your inyanim. In Gashmias, L'Toiva, and you should have Arichas Yom, Vishanim Toivais, filled with all blessing. Amen.